What is it that makes the guitar sound like that? It's my necks. It's the way we make our neck. You can build a guitar with a one-piece swamp ash body, nice lightweight guitar. For me, lightweight is essential. I've never really met any really nice lightweight guitars that didn't have more of a kind of an open and give to you sound. When you get these guitars that are made of hardwoods, that are heavy, you know, back in the 80s and 90s, it was popular to build these guitars that had 5-piece necks, and there are all these different hardwoods, and the bodies are maple bodies, and well, they get to the point where what you've made is you've made a thing to anchor this end of the string and this end of the string on. And what you get is a very pinpoint sound of a metal string. And you don't get a lot of tonality that the actual build of the instrument is offering to you. You've got to have an instrument that's tensioned. That's my opinion. And to get an instrument that's tensioned is not a nice straight neck that's been built that way, and the truss rod is not a part of that being straight. Many of the new guitars that come out of the factory, they've been planed, they've been there's fretwork, and everything is nice and straight, but the neck and the truss rod is laying in there and it's not really being used yet. They're waiting for 5 years down the road to hopefully have to start tightening that truss rod. My necks are, I call them pre-tensioned. I basically shape the back of the neck. We build with such a stiff wood that unless you shape the back of the neck, that truss rod won't work. My fingerboard is still a flat plane, and at that point we tighten the truss rod and we backbow the neck like this. And it goes in a special apparatus that we've made. It's, you know, quite expensive jig. When you tighten a truss rod, the middle of the neck doesn't really bump up. Here's the headstock. What happens is the headstock goes down to get the middle of the neck to appear to have moved up. It stays where it was and the headstock goes down, and all of a sudden the neck straightens out. Most of the necks out there that you find, when you tighten the truss rod, the truss rods are generally set in a curved slot. Here's the fingerboard. Here's the curved slot. So it's curved the way the neck wants to bend when the strings are pulling on it. So you set that truss rod in that curved spot and you lock it in either with a spline over the top. Most makers put a spline and then they put a fingerboard on. When you build a one-piece neck, you have to go in from the back, and that's what that skunk stripe is that you see on the necks. Once we tighten that neck, because we've shaped it, and it's a quarter sawn, very, very stiff wood to begin with, we get this back bow. The headstock moves down about a 2.5 degree angle, maybe 2 degrees, maybe 2.25 degrees. Every neck is different. Every neck is a wooden neck, and it responds the way that individual neck responds. That individual neck is going to respond a certain way when the strings are on it. Not the way the neck on that guitar I built over there is, but just this one neck. So we basically tighten that individual neck, backbow it. We lock the headstock in at that whatever angle it takes. There's a little support mechanism that's like a little table behind it that's almost hinged, and it will conform to whatever shape the headstock takes there. Then we lock that in and we lock the shaft of the neck in. At that point, we've got this neck that's backbowed about 40 thou, something like that, 40 thousandths of an inch. So the neck is backbowed, and it's now time to cut the radius on it. If you were to lay a straight edge on that neck, at any spot from nut to heel, you're going to have a flat plane after we cut it. So that back bow has now been cut off of the neck. The truss rod is super tight, and the radius is cut on. The plane is all flat, but it's flat on it's flat this way, but it's radiused. So it's a complex cut, but in the end, what happens is that when you set up the guitar, one of my final moves in setup is the final adjustment of the truss rod. I adjust saddles, I do all this stuff, but then I adjust the truss rod, but I leave a little bit to still be tightened. I tighten that truss rod, and the guitar comes to life. It's like it's one guitar before you tighten the truss rod. It's another guitar after you tighten it. And so I have a relief adjustment in my neck that gives you long, even relief, the whole length of the neck. The string vibrates a little bit at each end, and it gets more and more and more. So my necks are adjusted to that vibration of the string, so you get a very clean playing guitar.